They offer you what they have instead of helping you get what you really want. And to be honest, I didn't like what I saw on the real estate side. I think the process of acquiring a property, of visiting a property, should be done different, right?
What we really want to bring to the real estate industry is, next to your referrals, also have a predictable and especially measurable stream of leads, appointments and deals.
But if you want to create a brand and a reputation for yourself, you need 100% a system.
It's, I would say, the biggest reason why there's so much money being left on the table. Hey guys, welcome to a new Lead Estate podcast where we talk about everything related to real estate and inviting guests that tell us everything about their experience operating in the industry. Today we have an amazing guest, Francisco from Pontblanc, and he's gonna tell us everything about, well, luxury real estate, how to position yourself in this market, what people do wrong, and how to actually be successful in this market. So we thought it would be a really great guest to invite to the podcast today. So Francisco, welcome. And I think first you could maybe introduce yourself.
Okay, first of all, thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be here with you guys to have this conversation about all things real estate. So yeah, as you mentioned, my name is Francisco. I'm an architect. I've been working in the intersection of architecture and real estate for the past 12 years. And I think at the moment there's no better city to do that than Madrid.
Amazing, amazing. We've talked off camera as well, of course, and I think what I found really interesting is kind of your philosophy. We at Lead Estate, we are, well, very proud of the philosophy that we have about marketing and sales in the luxury real estate market and the real estate industry in general. But since you're an architect as well, at first you're an architect. I think you have a very interesting take on the market and a great philosophy. So can you explain a little bit more about that as well?
Yeah, of course. I started working as an architect, of course, at the beginning of my career, and I fell in love with architecture. I love architecture, and early on in my career, when I was working designing projects here in Madrid, I had a client. He is from Mexico. And that's when I discovered real estate, because there was the team of architects working on the design, and it was the real estate team working on the deal. And to be honest, I didn't like what I saw on the real estate side. I thought to myself, so there's this thing, there's architecture, there's real estate that I love, and it's not being treated the way I would like to, right? I think the process of acquiring a property, of visiting a property, of analyzing a market should be done different, right? That's what I founded pontblanc under the theme of building wealth and enjoying life. That's what I think real estate and architecture is all about, is building wealth, meaning intelligent asset allocation. In other terms, is buying the right thing at the right price, and also enjoying the design of the property. Most of my clients understand these two perspectives, which is beautiful design, luxury design, and of course, a great investment decision. So that's what Pontblanc is mainly about.
Would you say that your different perspective on things is a lot of focusing on the client's wallet instead of your own wallet?
Yes, 100%, 100%. I've been working with many clients. Yesterday, I was preparing notes for the podcast and I was counting how many clients I've worked in the past 10 years or so. It's more than 245 clients. So I've had a lot of conversations.
Almost the title of old seasoned real estate agent.
Yeah, yeah. But going back to your question of if I'm worried more about the wallet of the client or mine, is always the client. Yeah. Mainly because we used to work with a lot of clients. Now we work with 3 or 4 investors every quarter. That's it. Yeah. We've shrunken down so we can have a specific tailored approach for each client. And the only way to do that is when you focus 100% on the client, their needs, that the investment is done right. And also, and this is something you guys are, I guess you're going to be really interested in, is my main source of leads and clients is through referrals from past clients. So that's why the client must end always happy. They must be satisfied with the properties they buy, and of course with the service.
Yeah, and it's something that we say to our clients and potential clients as well, because on our side, you have a lot of marketing agencies that say, "Oh, referrals and network is in the past. It's all digital now." But yeah, we don't really agree with that, because referrals in your network are still your most powerful source of of leads and of deals. But combining that with a strategy that is a little bit more predictable and measurable, that is where you can really scale. And that's where you found the difference. So great that you say that most of your clients are actually from your network and referrals, because that means you're actually delivering a high value service, right?
I spoke about it in a consultation today as well, because we looked to the total amount of revenue that they were doing in the year, and they wanted to increase it, like double it. And I just asked them like the simple question of, have you ever like asked your existing clients if they have referrals for you, or people in their network that are also looking to sell or buy their property?
Yeah. I mean, making the ask, you know, you and I have talked about this in the past, and making the ask is a huge thing, of course. And here's a really important thing in the high end of the market and relationship when you're working with high net worth individuals, is recommending somebody is putting your reputation on the line, right? So you want to make sure that if you recommend someone, that someone is going to actually deliver a high quality service. So I always ask, and this is a funny thing, because there's some clients that they don't have a lot of time. And when they find something that is truly valuable, they tend to be quite private about it. So I've had clients that I've asked for them to refer me to their network, and they're hesitant, not because they're not happy, but it's kind of, they want to keep me to themselves. Like, this is my guy in real estate. And then you, of course, develop a relationship. They understand that you want to grow, and they refer you to other people. But yeah, actually making the ask is a huge deal. And you know, you must know how to make the ask depending on the type of client.
We are really working always in systems and protocols, and in whatever way we can bring structure. Would you say that you have for yourself like a certain protocol or a way of working, how you always know that you're delivering the highest standard for your clients?
Yes. That is actually a great question, because early on, like 12 years ago, I wanted to understand the game of real estate, the business of real estate. So I was eager to take on any opportunity that I had. That's messy, right? Yeah. You're trying to do a lot of things for many people, but it's also great school, and you get to learn a lot. And over the years, we have systematized our process and our steps, and that's a huge part of the business. And it's something that, to be honest, I don't think is that common in many real estate agencies to have a specific process that they follow through, because they feel the pressure of the deal, you know, the short term, closing the deals and the commissions, you know. But if you want to create a brand and a reputation for yourself, you need 100% a system, a CRM, a way to follow up. I'm a big fan of follow-ups, you know.
Yeah, and like for us, we completely understand everything about the follow-up, because that's also what we do for our clients as well. So they can focus on building relationships and closing the deals. So do you have any examples of how you actually got the deal by following up?
Yeah, actually I have a really good example. I am really big on follow-up, and at the beginning I was relying on my memory. You know, oh, I forgot to call this person. Now having a system, a CRM, reminders makes all the difference. So I remember 2 years ago, maybe a little bit more, I got this call about an apartment here in Madrid. It was an apartment around 1 million euros. And the thing is, we talked over the phone, and she mentioned she was a developer, and but at the end she couldn't make it to the viewing. I was okay, but that name was on my CRM, and I follow up, a conversation after a month, a conversation after 6 months, a conversation after a year, conversation after a year and a half. You know, just systematically, don't overthinking it, just calling, hey, how are you doing? Long story short, now we have like a partnership. She's a developer in Marbella, have a really good relationship. I went to Marbella, I visited her properties, and all that business that now we're opening in Marbella came from just following up systematically.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I think we have one of those stories as well, where one of our clients was actually doing really well, and then they kind of slacked a little bit in the follow-up, and it costed them, I would say, millions worth of deals, because our team actually called back
they
to
bought
those
properties.
prospects, and they bought and they said, yeah, we bought the property with someone else, right? And that's an example on the other side where if you're not following up, that can cost you a lot, right? And not even only that deal, but it can also cost you the referrals that you were going to get from that deal as well. So it's I would say the biggest reason why there's so much money being left on the table.
100%. And real estate is something that you don't buy one apartment, two apartments, three apartments every month. So if you missed one opportunity of closing a client, you really missed it, right? And following up and having a CRM, as you guys are really the experts on this, following up, emailing, chasing those clients, because something that I really like about sales is actually helping people get what they want. And sometimes they get in the way of themselves or trying to achieve what they want, and following up goes a long way.
Our mentor always says, money follows impact, right? So where you create impact, money flows. So a lot as well with like following up, keeping the conversation interesting, being there for the person, thinking of their wallet, every time staying on top of things. It's gonna fall sooner or later. There is like multiple statistics and of course different locations in different countries, and everybody can like search them up. But there is like a really estimate, of course, of when people relocate. Like in the Netherlands, what was it? Every 5-6 years?
Yeah, every 7. I believe people relocate on average 7 times in their lifetime.
Yeah.
Wow.
Something like that.
So it already says like, right, if you're every 7 times there, that's 7 deals. On the buyer and on the seller side of things, right? It can be on both sides. So
and their children will move 7 times, and their children will move 7 times. And it's a question that I ask a lot of times, like, are you in this real estate game for 5 years, or are you in this real estate game for the long term? And if you're in there for the long term, you better make sure that you follow up, because in 30 years you're going to be still in the business, and someone that you had contact with 20 years ago will become a client, or will become a client again. And that's difficult since you get paid on commission, right? And everyone's always chasing the next commission, but that's why you also lose out on a lot of deals, because you're chasing the short term and not valuing and building the relationship with the long term, right? And that's something we just spoke about as well.
Yes, you're touching a really good point there. That is having that long term, not only for your business, but for the impact, as Martin was saying, with the client. That is huge. And you also touched on this, that every follow-up is an opportunity to close the deal or to open up new relationships, new referrals, new business. There's a lot of people that I've shown apartments, or I've talked about investing in Madrid, that the conversation led somewhere else and new business opportunities open up just because having those conversations.
Yeah, 100%. And what I actually had a strategy call with a potential client, I think it was last week, and of course we have our complete framework of going from a lead all the way to a deal. That's what we do. We don't just generate leads. And in our framework, there's one step which is called building relationships. And he mentioned, hey, so how do you do this in practice? Of course, you follow up on the long term, but are there some examples that you use to really build that relationship outside of just making the contact in a few months?
Yeah. It's also, you can make some quite funny calculations with these things, with the relationship building and the CRM, but really staying on top. Like if you think about it, right? And if you're an agent seeing this video, for example, and you have like in a year, you count it like, let's say 1,000 leads that you all do like scramble on an Excel list, for example. And you just forget people, or you have what you mentioned in the beginning, like where you are like, oh shit, I still need to follow up with this person, right? If you do the calculation and from 1,000 leads, you would convert 1%, that's already an extra 10 deals on a year by just staying consistent, by being there.
And going back to your question, what you said, the important thing is having the rhythm of conversations, so you can quickly understand, okay, this client is going to buy now, so I should push or help him move forward, him or her, or should I nurture a relationship, More than one time I've told a client, don't buy or don't sell. And sometimes when people in my industry in real estate say that, they
there's more
like,
respect.
What's happening here? Like, hey, I'm actually thinking about your your interests in the long term, in the midterm, instead of any commissions or anything. That's not really important. The relationship. I remember when I started working in real estate, someone told me something that I still remember. That is, real estate is not about buildings. It's not about real estate. It's about people, like many businesses.
Yeah.
And when they trust you, as you mentioned, their kids, their family, their siblings, everybody comes to you based on that trust.
Yeah, and in the end, relationship building is all about trust, right? So that's a good point that you were talking about there. Yes, you need to do the follow up, which is what you were talking about. It's in a sense a numbers game, but when you do the follow up, you also need to say the right things, and not the right things just with the goal of selling a deal or making money, but with the goal of helping them, right? Because if you do that, in my opinion, in the long run, you will sell more deals by helping someone than just going for the deal.
Yeah.
And this is something we talked about off camera as well, about, well, how you operate in your business compared to real estate agents, for example, or what is in general, what's happening in the market, basically.
Yeah, that something that I usually say it is the market, real estate market, they offer you what they have instead of helping you get what you really want.
Yeah.
And you mentioned that of course, being patient and nurturing the relationship, translating more business, of course, but also it is much more rewarding, to actually help someone get what they really want.
Yeah.
That's what they refer you to other people. And of course, makes my job, I'm an architect at my core, so I'm completely in love with properties, and seeing someone, trying to share that passion with the clients, and they seeing them so happy with the properties and with the investments, and they're happy right now, and they're going to be even happier in 10 years, with all the capital gains. That's what I would try to focus on, right? Not offering what we have, helping them get what they really want.
This point I find really valuable, right? Because you mentioned sometimes you say no to them because you know why they're buying a property. Would you say that a big part or a big chunk of your work is as well like staying focused on what they explain to you, what they actually want, and they don't get distracted by numbers or just like an opportunity, or they feel like a FOMO, a fear of missing out?
100%, because something that I talk with my clients when I'm introduced to someone is, you mentioned earlier, right? Someone relocates 7 times a year, and I think that's quite a lot. I don't know if in Spain it's the same numbers, but what I'm going with this is you're making that decision 7 times in your lifetime. So each time you make that decision is like 2, 3, 4, 5 years apart. So you're in shape to make that decision, and you can get distracted because of FOMO, because your cousin or someone else told you that's a good opportunity. So I always tell my clients, I try to protect them from their own rush, from their own impatience, and also if I see something that is really valuable for them, that's why we have a conversation at the beginning. What do you really want? Not only in terms of investing, in terms of lifestyle and family life. And with that, I help them because I'm making these decisions every week, every month. So I know what to look for. I can help advise them better than the way they can sometimes, making that decision like once every 5, 6 years. So I guess that the short answer to your question is, I understand the true ones, and I help them protect against impatience and rush.
Yeah.
One thing again, right? You had this conversation with them. You need to know their complete inquiry. But what is that one thing that you always ask that you really need an answer on? Because that's like the most important in your search for properties.
All right. One of the most important things that sometimes I cannot ask this directly, but and I'm sure you guys are familiar with this, is who's the decision maker? That is not always easy to know if it's a couple or it's a family. Who's the decision maker? And to be honest, I try to have like common conversations, going out to dinner in Madrid, enjoy a good time, so I can understand a little bit how it's their lifestyle and the way they think. And after I have a clear picture of that, I always frame the question with pontblanc's dual lens, which is building wealth and enjoying life. Like, what is the most important thing for you in terms of investing? And what do you value most in terms of lifestyle? When I have those two things, if it's capital gain, or if it's just like a safe haven for my capital, or just a diversification of countries, okay, I have that queue. And then lifestyle, if there's more like a family thing and an open kitchen, the neighborhood's more important because they really like to walk and buy the croissants in nearby. Once I have 2 keys on those areas, things get much more easier.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. Yeah, that's amazing. And I think what I want to move into a little bit more is also a little bit the luxury aspect of things. You're dealing with high net worth individuals, of course, but also you're a business, right? And positioning yourself or framing yourself as a luxury or working in this industry, of course, is very different from, well, operating in, well, non-luxury or other segments of the market. So what would you say is very important when positioning yourself as a well, someone that's operating in the luxury or high net worth segment of real estate?
I think there's a couple of things that are quite important. Ideally, you want the client to categorize you as luxury without you saying it explicitly. You know, there's this saying that no luxury brand says that they're luxury. So ideally you want to avoid that. That's one thing. The other thing that is quite important is not being available everywhere. You know, just even if the harder it is to get to you, you're perceived more like in demand. No?
Yeah.
And that's really, really important. And the other thing is personalization and services. You know, for each client, we're talking about this in your company, how challenging it is to follow up, reply to inquiries in a way that feels personal, but you also have a business and a high volume of leads. So finding that sweet spot of the client feels understood and heard without you having to call exactly each client. That's also something really important. And the other thing we also mentioned is coherence. You know, the properties that we sell, the way we present ourselves, the way we receive clients. Sometimes people are kind of confused because I try not to show my clients more than 4 or 5 properties. And to show 4 or 5 properties to a high net worth individual, I've already analyzed like 60 properties in Madrid, which is a lot for Madrid, to make sure I'm showing them the best. I'm implicitly saying that I respect their time. And most important is when you show a property and they like it and you see that on their faces, and they immediately think, okay, they get me. They know what I'm looking for. So they trust, and their logic and their barriers goes down. And that for me is understanding the client and just showing a few options that are good. Because if you show a few options that are not good, then you might miss that client.
Yeah, exactly. And something that especially your second point is very interesting, because something that we used to do just internally in our business is that we want to help as many people as possible, right? So and we want to grow our business. So whenever we had meetings, of course, real estate agents are very busy, right? So sometimes they have a viewing and they miss the meeting, for example. And sometimes they don't let us know, which is costing us a lot of time. But then we were the ones like, hey, do you want to schedule a new meeting, right? And in my opinion, it was costing us a lot of time. We were too available. And in all honesty, they respected us less because we were chasing the deal. And something that we actually implemented recently, which is also what we hold ourselves accountable to, is in our invite we have, if you're 5 minutes late without telling us, you can't work with us anymore.
It's working amazing. It's actually working amazing.
Yeah, it's working really well, and people are actually saying like, I really like that.
Yeah.
And it's saves us a lot of time, but it also creates that sense of like, okay, we're serious, and if you want to do serious business and if you want us to help you, then come on time, because, well, we're scheduling time for you in our calendars, right? So that's a very interesting take on it, right?
Yeah, and I think that's we're young entrepreneurs running our own businesses, and of course we have a lot of energy, and as you say, we want to help as much people as we can.
Yeah.
But if you're doing things right, you guys are doing things great, there's a point that you're actually busy.
Yeah.
You're actually not available to help, even if you wanted to, you know? And that's when your own business starts improving and organically attracting better people, and also closing some doors that maybe are not the right clients for you.
Yeah.
That's because you're doing things right.
Yeah, exactly. And something that we are really passionate about, but is also something that has really helped us in growing our business, is just setting high standards. And every time we grew our business, we have basically raised our standards for ourselves, for our own team, But something that we've been realizing the past year, 2 years, is that we also need to expect from our clients to hold themselves to a certain standard. And more we've been saying no to people because we don't think that they operate at a high enough standard where we are able to actually generate them results, because we are dependent on, well, both parties to execute on their responsibilities, right? And that has seen a massive increase in the results as well.
It's funny because also in the diagram that you already mentioned with the topic of relationship building, we are also always super aware of tracking the data. And always when we track the data tells you exactly where you still hold yourself to a low standard. So again, like let's say, for example, you get thousands and thousands and thousands of leads, but you don't make the sale. Yeah, where's the problem, right? It's the conversion. If you have thousands of people in front of you and they meet the right budget, they have the buying intention, they have visited the place where you're selling your development or where you're selling your properties, right? And you're not converting them, there's the feedback. That's where you should implement and raise your standard. And that's also why we are always really focused on data, because you exactly want to see where's the bottleneck right now in your business. Especially when we work with developers, when we get a huge amount of leads, you want to exactly know also the way, how do you follow up? Do you do it through WhatsApp? Do you do it just through phone? What is the response rate or what's the pickup rate? From the pickup rate and response rate, how many people actually like schedule a booked appointment to visit a specific property with you? Is it, let's say, above 15%? Is it below 15%? And from those appointments again, how much people actually from the appointment close the deal? It's a process, especially in luxury real estate again. It takes months, but you can make really specific steps. The viewing process, the second viewing process. What you were saying as well, like before with the relationship building, like it's the whole diagram. Like we look to the whole side of the process, because if you don't measure, you can just not see where you're not applying high standards, because the data will actually tell you like what is off. Because let's, for example, say, right, you start on the top, generating the leads, getting all the views, getting the people on your pages to actually convert. From there, the people that convert, if you contact them through WhatsApp or through phone, you want to exactly know like how much people actually respond. Because let's say it's only 20%, I can say from experience that's below standard, that's extremely low. There is your bottleneck, there is your problem. You're apparently not applying high standards there, not following it up enough, not doing enough calls. Perhaps your first outreach message just doesn't work, or it doesn't give enough value to somebody for actually booking a call, or from the booking a call to eventually closing the deal. Let's say out of the thousands of leads, you only convert 1%. Again, that's feedback. It's feedback probably that you haven't been following up well enough on all those leads that are in your pipeline or in your system. So yeah, high standards is always like a numbers game for me. Like you exactly see it when you really track your numbers. Where are you having a low standard and where do you need to improve it? And one thing that's really really good to do for your own company is like start just comparing things to companies that you think like you inspire yourself to also become like a big competitor. What are they doing different than that you are doing in the follow-up? Go, for example, one time through their system or react on their pages or get in contact with their agents. Like, what is the difference? What is the polarity?
And I think something that we also do is one of our core values is actually transparency. And the more you expose yourself and expose your own systems and, well, tracking all the numbers, the more you expose that, it's difficult at first because it's scary, because it exposes all of your weaknesses and all the things that you're lacking on. But it also gives you the most valuable feedback and also the only feedback that's actually correct. So if you're not exposing yourself fully, the feedback that you're going to get is never 100% correct because they don't have all the information or the correct information. And that's very, very important. That's something that we really pride ourselves on as well.
Yeah, I actually really admire the systematic approach you guys have and the high standards you were mentioning, because you're measuring data and you're measuring which channels are working. But on the other side, there's clients that want to make a huge investment in real estate, right? And you are making sure you're not leaving anyone behind. Because you missing out on following up on someone, maybe that someone is not buying the future home that is going to be filled with happy memories. And when you systematize this whole thing, this process, and you make sure you're trying to keep the highest standard, you're actually, who is receiving all that value? All those leads, of course, the developers and the conversion rate, right? But also those people that are in the system, all those numbers in the CRM, they should be thanking you guys to making sure that you're following up with every single guy, because you're going to make an investment.
You improve the standards. Like I always love one thing. There was a deal that went through from one of our partners in Marbella, and they sent us a screenshot of the picture, the owners that bought the property. Like they sent us the picture of the owners that made the property, like a selfie with a glass of champagne, celebrating what they've just bought. And it was like, we literally created this picture, right? It's insane to think about.
And what I really think as well is that a lot of what's happening in the marketing industry, it's like numbers, right? Sales, and it's not actually about delivering the results for the clients, which is mind-blowing to me. Even today, we just had a conversation about it, and this is what most of our conversations are about. If we're not getting the results that we desire for a client, then we're really frustrated. I'm like, oh man, I just want to help this client. I just want to get results for them, right? And of course, you have this whole online industry of marketing agencies and drop shippers and all these business models to make money online as a younger entrepreneur. But it's never really about getting results. I wouldn't say never, but a lot of times it's about, how can we make as much money as possible instead of actually really caring about the client's results. And I feel like that's really something that is also one of our values.
Yeah, because it takes ownership away.
Yeah,
that's why people don't want to do it. Like we literally put ourselves like in front of the camera and talk about these things. We put our name like behind it. When we are working with the client, like we put our reputation on the line. It's aligning what you're mentioning in the beginning as well. Like you come in front, you have direct like contact with the person you're going to help. And if you're just not delivering a great service, like the aftercare of it is like they're not going to recommend you, and you're going to lose a name. And the real estate market is enormous, but also everybody knows each other. So it's really important to have a good reputation and to have high standards.
Yeah, and as we were saying at the beginning of the conversation, is having a long-term vision in mind, right?
Yeah.
You want to deliver for your clients, you want to make results, you want to make relationships, so your business can grow and you can grow along with your clients. Of course, if you have, I love having ultra high demanding clients, because that just raises the standard of my company.
Yeah. I remember we generated a lead for a client one time, and he was like an ultra high net worth individual that we generated, right? And
it was really funny.
he just literally sent a WhatsApp message to our client, and it was like, I want this, jacuzzi, pool. The pool needs to be exactly this much meters long and this much meters wide. And it was like a whole list. I want this. If it's not this, then I'm not gonna buy.
Yeah.
And it's like so demanding, but on the other hand, you know exactly what he wants, right?
Exactly.
So either build it or find it, I guess. But yeah, that's really interesting. About
coming across with clients like that, I love, because they know what you just said, exactly what they want. So if you find it, if you make sure they get what they want, they're gonna make the decision like this.
Yeah,
it's gonna be a great deal, and everybody's gonna be happy. If a client comes and they don't really know, and that's a different type of client. Of course, it's okay, but you have to pull it out a little bit from them to make sure they understand what they actually want in terms of a property, of a new city, of a neighborhood, right? So if a client knows what they want, this
my favorite your own standard, of course, because of the client.
Yeah, and this is something that we're actually implementing with our clients. So if we're speaking to potential clients, which are real estate agencies or developers, we more and more become more of like a consultant, because what we ask a lot of times is, the first question that we ask is, did you reach your goal last year? Or are you on track to reach your goal last year? And the answer almost always is no, or I don't know.
Yeah.
And I'd rather have them say no
of course,
than I don't know. Because if it's I don't know, then we need to have a whole conversation about everything that Maarten just explained about tracking data and being on top of your numbers.
Yeah.
If it's no, it's a different problem. And usually that's a problem because yes, they are setting goals, but they're not setting commitments. They're setting targets, they're not setting commitments. And what usually happens is like, oh, we didn't reach our goal. Okay. If you work with lead estate, we don't accept that at all. So we don't accept that you are very indifferent about reaching your goals. You set a target and we'll do whatever is necessary to reach that target. And I think that's also one of the things that are very important.
100%. And one thing that I love about Jamal, about the lead generation, is that everything is downstream from leads. If you have enough leads and you understand your own conversion rate, be it a developer or an agency, if you know your conversion rate, that's it. You have completely visibility of what you need to do. If I close one client every 10 leads, how many closings do you want to get? Of course, that's how many leads you want to generate. And all the data, of course, we all know this. You cannot improve what you don't measure, right? So with your model, I think that is quite easy.
I think because we live it so much as well, I'm super passionate about it. That's as well for partners. Like even when we're talking about this topic right now, and I even wanted to interrupt you, just really because I wanted to jump in. Like I'm really passionate about setting goals, because I think like it's a missed opportunity for yourself if you don't set that goal, because you just don't know where you're working for every day. Like, what is the intention that we are sitting here today, right? There is intention. The reason why we are sitting here is because we know this content is going to be seen by our partners, and it's going to create a ripple effect, of course, of more people coming towards us that haven't seen us or haven't experienced the way we are. So there's a lot of intention, because we calculate exactly if we do this amount of things, if we do that amount of things, if we spend this much budget, this much leads, this much contact points, this much appointments, it's going to get this much deals. And in the agency world, it's exactly the same. This much leads, this much appointments, this much opportunities get created, and this much revenue. Like there's so much intention about it.
Yeah, and that's really what we want to bring to the real estate world. Because you mentioned, like, I get everything from referrals and from network, which is very good, but it's still sometimes quite unpredictable, right? Which is just the nature of things if you're getting clients through your network. But what we really want to bring to the real estate industry is, next to your referrals and people coming from your network because you deliver a good service, also have a predictable and especially measurable stream of leads, appointments, and deals. And by doing that, you really create a predictable way of growing. So then you can say, I want to do this amount of revenue this year. Oh, I want to help so many people this year. This is what I need to do. And we reverse engineer it based on that point B, is what we call it. And then we map out the exact action steps that we need to do. And that is really what we do more and more with our clients as well.
Can I ask you a question? Has there been a time that a developer sets a target that you said, wow, that's a challenging one?
I think literally yesterday. Literally yesterday, where indeed we have a client he's quite demanding, and on this conversion rate, he wants to see an extra 2% convert. So he's also like, how are we gonna make it happen? And I love it, because it gives us also a standard and a challenge again. Like we need to go for those percentages. How are we gonna do it? What is his take on it? Where does he gathers his insights, and why does he want to make it standard? You know. So it happens, and I actually like invite people and invite our clients to always say these things and make these requests, because it challenges our standards as well.
Yeah, that's really interesting. Yes.
One thing for you, I was drinking a cup of coffee with you, and we were just talking about having a predictable stream of leads, having a predictable stream of opportunities. I know you have also quite an interesting take on it, especially with how you are doing requests for yourself.
Yeah, 100%. I think that's one of the biggest challenges you have as an entrepreneur, right? Having predictable revenue coming in so you can plan ahead. What I've done so far, because of the nature of our business, and we don't work with everybody, we work with a selected group of small clients each year, I've systematized my referral process, right? Of course, people are busy, especially our clients, right? They're doing a lot of things, traveling, they have their own companies. So I do not expect them to remember me or the company and to refer me and the company every opportunity they have. So I want to make sure, and this is challenging and fun, to be present in their lives with elegance, delicately, so they remember where we are. How can they refer? So I have a process. It's like the behind the scenes with my CRM, with a newsletter, with a news brief that we have, and just a few broadcast lists on WhatsApp.
On WhatsApp as well, yeah.
Yeah, WhatsApp is our most successful channel by far, that we say to our previous clients, hey, I'm here if you need me, every once in a while, because they're busy. And that has proven so effective, that system, like an elegant system, personalized, of course, is me every time talking with them. But just, again, as we were talking about follow-ups and the importance of being disciplined, definition that I love about discipline is choosing what you want most instead of what you want now.
Yeah.
Right? So if sometimes uncomfortable, sometimes you don't remember, sometimes, okay, I've been following up to this person and I haven't gotten a reply for 6, 7, 8 months. But on year 2, year 5, and not many people do this, you get an amazing client, you close a big deal, you get a new project on development.
Yeah.
So for me, having a system that you guys are at the expert, having a system behind the scenes in the referral network has proven super effective. And now what we want to do to expand this, complement that strategy with other strategies to generate leads.
And that's something that we implement a system for our clients basically on the front end until we schedule the appointment. But we always recommend our clients also implementing a system for the long-term follow-up, which goes back to the example of one of our clients losing millions worth of deals because they hadn't implemented.
Yeah.
Well, they had implemented it, but not executed on the long-term follow-up strategy. And this is something like the WhatsApp group, or having a newsletter, or creating content. Right? If all your older clients follow you and they see a video of you once in a while, that helps. And it's just briefly touching. Getting a new touch point of saying, hey, we're here. If you want to need help, you can reach out to us, right?
Yes.
So not pushing too much. And that's, I think, a lot of real estate agencies or developers, they're really scared about that as well. Like, am I not pushing too much? Am I not reaching out? Well, I would say if they responded to an advertisement, well, they want to be called, right? And I would say I hear more from clients or from the leads that we call for our clients. Oh, wow, thank you for calling me because no one is calling me back. Then that I hear, oh, wow, you're reaching out too much. And if they say that, they would never buy or don't need help anyway.
100%.
So that's really interesting. But in terms of the long-term follow-up, it's just brief relationship building touch points, I would say.
Exactly. And adding value. I'm always sharing really good information about Madrid, valuations, the market, the lifestyle, the art world, what's happening in the city, just giving useful information, selected, curated information. I don't pretend that I will have their attention for a lot of time, just being present with them. And going back to your point of pushing and pulling with clients, I think that's an art, because there are people that, as you were mentioning, that you call them 7 times and you're scared to call them 1/8 time. And when you call the 8th time, they say, thank you, I've been busy, thank you for following up. And you're just showing up because you really want to help those people make the investment, see the property of whatever they want. They want to help, but it's a high-stake decision, and it's not an easy one. So you need to learn. That's not easy to read when to push, when to leave them. They're like fishing, right? Sometimes you have to let them swim a little bit.
That's really beautiful said.
Yeah.
Like it's like fishing.
Yeah.
Go with in front, go with back,
and being patient, knowing when to pull.
Yeah.
Especially when you're working with properties, around 4 million or higher, you don't want to be too pushy.
Yeah.
But you don't want to disappear either.
Yeah.
Because maybe you got just your email, your message fall through the cracks of a lot of emails and communications that client is having. You want to be present, appear, and at the end of the day, you want to be helpful.
Yeah.
We've implemented quite some feedback based on the long-term follow-up, because when we were really active in the Netherlands and we weren't grown like internationally, this like 3 years ago, 2 years ago, we always had like follow-up nurture sequences on 3 months, 6 months, and 12 months. That means like somebody on the phone or on a text message, hey, I want to move in a year, contact me then. Now, we followed up after a year, and then we saw all those people that said that they wanted to move after a year, they already bought or sold with someone else. So what we've done there is, again, based on the data and what people tell us and all the feedback, we've made changes. So now when people say, hey, I want to move in a year, they go into the 6 months. When people say, I want to move over a half year, they go into the 3 months.
No.
But people, of course, say, hey, in 3 months or 2 months, they can go into the first month. So just stay way more on top of things, top of mind. It's so important.
Yeah, especially if you're basing your decisions in data.
Yeah,
I think that's huge.
Yeah, 100%.
Comes down because it's possible when you cover so much leads, right? You can do those things. And even when you don't have so much leads and you're just starting out as an agent, for example, people are always saying like, oh, I have an unpredictable stream of leads. Nowadays you have Instagram, LinkedIn, Idealista. Everything is out there. Just keep yourself to, for example, a rhythm of just doing every day 25 requests on Idealista. And perhaps 24 say, no, stop calling me. But only one person needs to say, hey, yeah, come by the house. I would like to make an introduction. And there you go. Like if you do that for a year, 5 days in the week, yeah, you can calculate again. And there your predictability will come. And then you can again also, based on just your manual things and how you're doing things yourself, you can make it measurable again.
Yeah. And then, like I said, that's something that we really want to bring to the real estate world because, well, pretty much 95% of sales meetings that we have, strategy calls that we have with potential clients, it's basically they are not clear about their goal. And if you're not clear about their goal, you don't know what exact action steps you need to implement to go towards that goal. For example, I had a meeting last week and he mentioned, the potential client mentioned, I want to do 1.5 million this year. I'm like, okay, is that based on calculations or is that just something that you would like, right? And he said like, yeah, 1 million. And I was like, is it 1 million or is it 1.5 million?
Yeah.
And he said like,
big
yeah,
difference.
yeah, it's a big difference. And eventually we came down to, okay, 1.5 million is the target, 1 million is the commitment, right? And then we were looking at what he was doing. I think 1/3 of his leads came through Idealista or the portals, 1/3 came through network, and 1/3 came through to Facebook and Instagram advertising, right? And it's very difficult to scale portals. It's also very difficult to scale your network because the year before that, he did about 500,000, I believe, right? And then we realized that he was still doing the same actions that would have gotten him to 500,000 at the end of the year. So then we looked at his advertising and we basically calculated that in order to reach 1.5 million, he needed to spend 8 times more advertising budget because he was already making a profit, but he was just scared to scale it. But he was already getting a return of like a 10x, for example, right? So we really identified what is your goal, reverse engineered what are the exact action steps that you need to take to reach that goal. But he was just not doing that.
Yeah.
So what would happen at the end of the year is like, oh yeah, didn't reach your goal. How did it happen? Well, you were not clear and not aware enough about all those things that you actually needed to do to reach that goal. And that's a lot of difference.
That is really interesting what you said about you cannot scale your network, right? And through the portals is quite difficult.
No. You can, but but it goes very slowly, which is okay. But in advertising budget, sorry for interrupting, but in advertising budget, it's like, okay, if you put 1,000 euros in and you get 10,000 euros out, you know that if you put 10,000 euros in, you get 100,000 euros out, right? So that's what I mean with scaling. You can't double your network.
Exactly. I got it. And my follow-up question was going to be, are there any trends you're seeing in real estate through social media? What's happening? Because we can see a lot of, Instagram people, influencers creating videos about properties around the entire world. And my question is, do you have any data or experience of how much of those viewers are actually translating into clients? Because it's different to have like a huge community, which is interesting. It has a different purpose. But for instance, for a developer, they're not that interested in having thousands, 10,000s, hundreds of thousands of followers, but potential clients. So do you have any trends or data there?
So what we see mainly is that it's a challenge for us as well. Organic marketing is a lot more difficult to track than paid marketing. Paid marketing, you know exactly, I've spent this much, I got so much appointments, etc. you can calculate it, but it's a little bit more difficult. So something that I see is that instead of doing paid marketing, a lot of them are doing organic marketing and trying to reach people with organic marketing, which is very much possible, right? But it's also very difficult, and you really need to have an organic strategy to make sure that your videos reach 100,000, 200,000 or more views, right? So what I would always say is start with advertising, get a clear return on investment, and then use that content more to nurture. And of course, you will get inbound leads as well. But start with advertising, because that will make sure that you can measurably scale your company so that you can actually have the right amount of budget to put into high quality videos that will nurture those leads from your network, nurture those leads on the long term, older clients, and nurture the leads coming from your advertisements. And then eventually, because you just scaled your company, you can actually invest that into more organic marketing, because then you actually have the budget to make sure that you create the quality videos that will actually get a lot of views. That's what I would say.
Yeah, makes a lot of sense.
We'll love to touch on the point that you were also asking, which trends do we really see right now in the market? Like if we look to our international clients, for example, we really see like in countries like the Netherlands or the UK, Australia, Germany, Poland, people want to leave. They have, of course, now the access and the possibility to leave, right? There is now possibilities of working remote. People are developing everywhere. The prices are still attractive, and everybody sees that the real estate market is growing. So yeah, we really see that it's now time to get in front of these people in these countries, because they're like on the edge, right? They just need an extra push and they will go. That's really what we see.
It's what I see a lot is that these people want to leave for different reasons, right? So for example, in the Netherlands, it's because of tax. In the UK, it's probably because of tax and other things. But if you're working in international real estate, of course, building up a network takes a longer time than if you're a local real estate agent in the same city where everyone knows each other, right? So you have to go online, right?
The same thing as people that are really now on the edge, right? Just as an agency, it's just really important to know where are your clients.
100%.
For example, I was talking with a marketer about selling an island. Now, what was the marketing strategy there? It was just all the places where, of course, you have like, you could fly like a private plane, like there, have the brochures, be visible there, because there, of course, are coming people with enough money for perhaps buying an island again. So it's really important.
Yeah.
And you were saying people leaving, the Netherlands and the UK. I think everybody's coming to Madrid at the moment.
Yeah. And
We're a great example.
We're here.
Dutch people in general love Madrid, or they love Spain in general. So if I'm on the Costa Blanca, for example, I've lived in Valencia for a year. I can basically speak Dutch. I don't even have to learn Spanish. So, and the same goes for Marbella and the Costa del Sol. The Dutchies are very, very international, I would say. So you have a lot of Dutch clients as well?
No,
not yet.
You guys are gonna bring us a lot of
we'll take care of it.
No, a lot of international clients we do, and actually I'm specialized in international people coming to Spain to invest. Mainly Madrid. Madrid is our main city, and also Marbella. But yes, we definitely, after this podcast, I'm sure we're gonna do some great stuff together.
Let's make it happen. So I think that concludes everything.
Thanks, Francisco.
There's probably a lot more to talk about, but we'll have to do a second podcast.
Definitely
sometime soon. And thank you for coming on the podcast, and also thank you for organizing the podcast in this beautiful apartment.
Thank you guys for inviting me. Thank you also to my client Invest Rock, who made it possible to be here in this beautiful apartment, and I'm looking forward to the next time.
Amazing.
Appreciate it.
Okay.